What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Fresh Cuts, where we slice into the newest releases in theaters or on your favorite streaming service. I am your host, Brett Parker. Joining me, as always, is my wonderful co-host, Dan and Angela. Dan Gaming.
Hello.
Hello. Today, I am fresh out of the theater. And we're here to talk about the newest entry in the 70 years of Godzilla, Godzilla Minus One. Now, as you know, on Fresh Cuts, we will be talking about the movie spoiler-free. And then once we get to a certain point, we will let you guys know we're going to be talking about spoilers. We'll give you a warning. So seriously, do not listen to this episode. Do not listen to the spoiler part of the episode until you see this movie, because it needs to be seen by everybody.
Yes.
So let's talk about it. Let's talk about Godzilla Minus One. Before we get to our thoughts, though, spoiler free, let's go through some of the people involved with this movie. So this was directed by Takashi Yamazaki. Dan, do you know anything that he's directed?
Yeah, he did the Sundown series, whatever that show's called, or something like that. He did a few. I don't fucking remember. You're gonna ask me this now, and I know what he did, but I can't fucking remember. Oh my god, what was his name again? I'll look him up. I can't remember.
Takashi Yamazaki.
There you go, Takashi Yamazaki. There we go. There we go. Then I might know what I'm talking about, because he was the first dude to do a CG Japanese Godzilla.
He did a Dragon Quest movie called Dragon Quest: Your Story.
Yep, Dragon Quest is popular. Always, that's it. Sorry, I messed it up. It is. He did Always Sunny on 3rd Street, or Always Sunset on 3rd Street, which was the first appearance of a CG Godzilla. And then it happened again in Always Sunset on 3rd Street 2. There was another CG Godzilla, if I remember correctly.
Huh.
This was the first appearance of it. Was a dream sequence. And it was a pretty big fucking deal. And those are the movies I know of him. That he has done.
That is really cool.
Mm-hmm.
It was also written by Yamazaki, and he also worked on the visual effects behind this movie, because he is that's what he was well known for in the beginning of his career, or most of his career. He took a lot of influence from early Spielberg films, such as like Close Encounters of the Third Kind and Star Wars. This, of course, was distributed by Toho. It came out in Shinjuku on October 18th, 2023, and then in Japan, November 3rd, 2023. And then, and then it released in the United States or the rest of the world, wherever it went to after Japan, on December 1st, 2023. It was 2 hours and 5 minutes. With a budget of $15 million. And as of right now, it has made $39 million at the box office. So
it's going to do more.
Pretty good. And to be honest, the thing that blows my mind about those numbers is the fact that this movie only cost $15 million to make.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Insane.
You don't need it, man. I'm telling you, people get hung up on that shit. You spend way too much money on a bunch of bullshit you don't need. Just make a good fucking movie. All right.
This movie looks fucking gorgeous,
doesn't it?
Like, it is. I don't want to compare it to like Marvel or Star Wars, but it looks better than a lot of Marvel and Star Wars properties that have come out in the last like 10 years. It's insane how good this movie looks. Yes, there are some visual anomalies throughout the film that I feel somebody who really is looking deep into this would probably be like, that doesn't look as crisp as... No, this movie, for $15 million, this movie is gorgeous.
Yes. Yep.
So let's go through some of the cast. We have, and I just want to apologize ahead of time, because I am horrible at... I'm horrible at English names, so the fact of trying to do another country's names, not going to happen very well. So I'm going to try my best. Ryu Nozuki Kamiki as how do you pronounce his name? Is it Kyoki?
Kyo.
Kyoki
The main guy.
Oh, the main guy.
Shikishima.
Oh, Shikishima. Like they never call him by his first name. It's always by his
No,
surname.
they do. They do. The
wait
women
for
of his life call him by his first name.
Nah.
Manami Hamabe, who played Noriko, who was his partner. You have Yuki Yamada as Shiro. Munataka Aoki as Shisaku. Is it, how do you pronounce the Tachibana? Tachibana. Okay.
Yep.
Hidetaka Yoshoko as Kenji. Onoda, who was the scientist or engineer. He was the one with the crazy hair. I love his hair. His hairdo was awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Sakura Andu as Sumiko Ota. Kurosuke Sasaki as Yuji Anaksu, which was the Shinsu Muro's captain, which is boat, the mine boat, right?
Yep. I just call him Cap. We talked about this.
Yeah, it was Captain, Boy, and Kid. Yeah.
Or
Doc and Kid.
Doc and Kid.
Mio Tanaka as Tatsuo Hota, who was the captain, who was like the captain of the bigger ship, the Yuka Kazi.
The Navy, the retired Navy guy.
Yep. Waya Endo as Tenayuki Sato. I'm trying to remember these characters.
I don't remember most of their names. If I see them, I know who you're talking about.
Kasuki Ayada as Akayo Itagaki, and then Sa Nagatani as Akiko, who was the little girl.
Yay!
Yeah.
I apologize again. That is.
No, you're good, man.
Holy crap!
You trucked through.
I did my best, and I hopefully didn't offend anybody. So yeah, this was the first Godzilla film distributed by Toho since Shin Godzilla in 2016. So it's been seven years since we got a Godzilla film out of Japan, because Godzilla's kind of been running amok in the US with the legendary films. And the craziest thing is this movie comes out. It's been out as of this recording for 4 days. And in 4 short months, we're going to be getting another version of Godzilla, which is pretty crazy to think about when there was this huge space. What was it, like 2000? What was it, like 2004 was the last Toho Godzilla before Shin?
Yep.
And still, it took 10 years to get Godzilla period from that time. Mm-hmm. So the fact that we're getting Godzilla like 4 or 5 times within like a 5-year span is just mind blowing.
We're eating good.
Yes, good. Godzilla fans, we're eating good.
Yeah, except for the ones that bitch about stupid stuff. But you have your right to complain. Mm-hmm. But guys, there's enough room for all of it.
Yes.
If you don't like it, it's fine. Like, hey, just don't enjoy this movie. That's fine.
So yeah, theatrically, as Dan said, this was released November 3rd in Japan, which was the same day as the first film's premiere back in 1954.
Yep.
And it was to celebrate the 70th anniversary of Godzilla, which is
69th.
Yeah, but they're kind of sneaking in the 70th as they they even, when you see the movie, it even says like 70, was it 70 years of Godzilla?
Yeah, it's the logo for the 70th, but that's not till next year.
Yeah.
They'll get there.
Yeah. So yeah, pretty much the basis of this movie is this takes place in literally post-war, like right after the war ends in Japan. And the country is in shambles. And nuclear tests wake up, or kind of anger this creature that pretty much continues to destroy Japan, setting them back instead of bringing them forward, because they pretty much after the war they had to rebuild. But so it was literally Japan +1, or Japan based off of the final once the war ended. But because of Godzilla, they set them back a year. That's why this movie is called Godzilla -1. So let's talk about our thoughts on the movie. Spoiler free, of course, as we stated before. Dan, I feel like you're chomping at the bit right now. So why don't you share your thoughts on Godzilla Minus One?
I'm containing myself.
Spoiler free.
I know. So this is going to be easy because this is going to be short. Well, maybe it won't be short, but we're going to make it as clean as we can. I'm going to go on a limb, and I've been thinking about this again since I said this exact same stuff to my wife and other people. I've been thinking about this since this movie came out, and I'm pretty confident where I sit. I think this is, outside of the original, which we put on a separate pedestal, the best Godzilla movie ever made. Period. Like from a sheer filmmaking standpoint, this is the best Godzilla movie ever made. Like I can't think of anything that's even like, oh, it's kind of like, no. Like Shin's probably like a close, not far behind this, but this has to be the best. I love the cinematography. Like the main thing you care about is like one of the biggest things for me is the human characters are relevant and they're good and they're well written and you give a shit about them and they're not just like, yeah, I don't mind these guys, they're right, they make the movie. No, like it's about the people, and Godzilla is still a huge part of it. It's not like a movie that's this great movie and they just happen to have Godzilla. No, Godzilla is an important facet of it, but like the characters are awesome, the effects are awesome. It's the first Godzilla, I think the first one where he's fully CG in Japan, because I know Shin, I think, had a little bit of practical. I could be remembering that incorrectly, but the soundtrack's great, which we'll get into some of the music because they use some older music, they use some newer music. I don't know what else to say outside of that. Like it does justice being this homage to the beginning part of the series and then other parts of the franchise series just peppered in there, but starting its own thing. So, no, that's too spoilery, but the timeline should set it up for that. But
I mean, I can't say much more than what he said. I mean, we've talked about it and we pretty much hit on the same thing. Like, your human characters do more than most of the other Godzilla movies.
yeah, and they're not like they're bad in other Godzilla movies.
It's just not necessary in some of them.
It's not as emotionally driven as this.
Like, you don't...
Well, they don't know how to write human characters.
Not necessarily. I don't want to say that because like there's some pretty decent human characters in some of the movies. Like I liked them in Shin. I liked them in the original film. 84's got some good ones.
all of them. I just said some
I'm
of them.
just pointing it out. But they're not held to the degree that this film is trying to be. This film is trying to just on the level 100% serious, you know.
Yeah. Like I don't know what I don't know what more I could say.
How was your guys' theater experience?
It was good. We got to go watch it by ourselves.
Oh, really? There was nobody in the theater?
No.
Well, I mean, us two.
Oh, okay,
like,
okay.
There was about 20-ish people.
It was closer to 30 when I counted after you
people
up and
came in.
back. It was about 30 people.
There was a lady sitting in front of us. She was an elderly lady that probably grew up around, I'd say probably the Second World War. And it was so cool to hear some of her comments that were made, not during the movie, but before the movie. I was like, she's going to be fun. And then we had a group down from us that was probably in the same boat he's in, like super Godzilla fans. They clapped at certain points. He's over here like, yeah. And you could see them. Like, I find that really cool to see people react.
I verbally reacted several times in the movie.
We
without being disruptive. I'm sorry.
We yelled a couple times, like, oh,
yeah. It was a good amount of people, and this was a Saturday matinee, like their first showing of the day.
Very cool.
How about you?
Yeah, I like I said, I got home probably like 20 minutes before we started recording this.
It's all very fresh.
I went with my brother, my best friend, and my oldest. And it's one of those things where you don't know how they're going to react to it, especially because it's not something like this is my very first Japanese Godzilla film I've ever seen in theaters. And to be honest, it's the very few Japanese Godzilla films I've seen, period. The only ones I've seen, is Shin, because we covered it, and the original, like a long time ago when I was a kid. So I am not as, I wouldn't say as big of a fan. Like, I'm a huge fan of Godzilla, of course, but I'm not like on the level of you guys. So, but I think it was a lot of fun just to kind of see the reactions as things are happening in the movie, like seeing like, well, my son is kind of just like doing this the whole time. But then the movie be over, we were walking out, and he's just like, I was like, did you like it? And he's like, yeah. He's like, I thought it was going to be different. I thought it was going to be boring, but I liked it. And I was like, oh, wow. I was expecting you to say it was boring, because there is a lot of dialogue in that. Well, not like a lot of dialogue, but there's a lot of not Godzilla stuff happening in this movie. And I feel there are I know certain people who probably would have came out of this movie going, wow, that was so boring. Like, that was just like, Godzilla's on the screen for what, ever X amount of minutes. And, but everybody that I went with seemed to enjoy the movie. I didn't really have a full out conversation with anybody, but I was kind of like, hey, what'd you think? And they liked it. There was points where I had goosebumps. I had like the hairs on the back of my neck is standing up. I'm like getting teary eyed on certain parts, because they just wrote these characters for you to really care about. And when there isn't Godzilla on the screen, you're still invested in what's happening with these characters, where there's other movies that we've probably talked about on the show where when the monster is not on the screen, it is boring. It's just like, when are we going to see the next, destructive scene or whatever? And this movie just writes these characters so well. And I think it's really cool to see Godzilla in a, pre his original appearance. Like, this is right after like literally the first scene of this movie is pretty much when Japan surrenders, I think. Almost.
It's right there.
It's like right around that
war.
time.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're kind of seeing things, over the course of a couple years or whatever. But it was just really cool to see a different iteration of Godzilla it feels different, but also feels the same. Like, there are parts where this movie kind of feels like it's a soft remake of the original Godzilla. Like, it's not a full blown, like, hey, we're remaking the original movie. It is like, we're taking that core ideal of the original 54 film, and we're gonna, make it into a movie that's not acceptable, but like just what people want to see in 2023.
I think they would have. I think this movie could have flown at any point. Like, just the concept of it, because it's so locked at a past point in time. But like, to where the characters are robust enough.
Right. It's wild to think about. In the almost 70 years of this character, they didn't go to this time. Like, we didn't get a right after the war, because that's basically when he becomes Godzilla. Like, he becomes the monster that he is. But it is really cool. Like, this movie blew my mind visually, story wise, fantastic. The characters are likable. Like, when a character, something would happen to a character, you felt it. You put a fucking child in the movie who's actually pretty good for someone who probably didn't know what the hell she was doing.
And she's so cute.
Oh, adorable.
She's a doll baby.
I just wanted to be the guy on the side who's just like, okay, I need you to cry. And she sells it. She sells it. But yeah, I came out of this theater wanting to see it again. I just want to go back.
Oh yeah.
You got what, 2 days?
This is
it's going for another week.
So yeah, they're gonna put. I think AMC is gonna be pushing it another week. I think most theaters are probably going to. My theater, I think,
else to watch.
I think my theater, I think it's done after Thursday. But it's surprising. I was just surprised that we got this movie as long as we did. I think we got our first showings were on Thursday.
Mm-hmm.
There was like 2 or 3 showings on Thursday, and then to get a week, like was it Shin Ultraman was one showing.
Well, see the thing with this, the thing. Okay, so the different thing about this release is, and I'm sorry for people listening to this that are used to our other stuff, and like I'm gonna be like super fucking serious during this because it's something I really care about, and I'll make some jokes later when we get to the spoiler
Don't worry,
section,
this is a
but-
different show, guys. This is
Yeah, but I'm like locked in. Like this is like shit I really fucking care about. But the difference between this is the last time the Godzilla movie has got a proper theatrical run. Shin Godzilla was not a theatrical run. It was a limited engagement. It was literally like a couple nights a week. And that's it. This was a proper week, full, proper theatrical run for this film since Godzilla 2000 for an actual Japanese
insane.
movie. Yeah. So like, because that was it wasn't really, you didn't really do specialty stuff at that time that I know of, at least for most major theaters. But yeah, I think that's the big difference with this one. They're like, all right, we're going to buy a week's worth. Let's see what happens.
Yeah, and it's making its money. My theater was pretty full for this movie.
Really?
Yeah, there was a lot more people than I was expecting. Because when I bought my tickets, there was no tickets sold yet. So I was like, ooh, maybe we'll be like the only ones there, or you'll get a few stragglers. I had one guy at the end of my row I think he paid $10 to go see this movie to literally take a nap.
Oh,
like he took his shoes off and everything, and just was passed out at the end of my row. So that was cool. He didn't disrupt anybody, so I wasn't like mad about it. But the only thing that sucked is he was on the spot where that's where you got to go out if you have to like leave to go to the bathroom.
Oh no!
And so you're just like, wake up, bro! I gotta go.
So
and me, I'm like,
quite a few people.
I'm fine. I'm fine. I'm gonna hold this. I'm not getting up.
Go over this row. You just step over the seat.
Dude, we had so many trailers at the beginning of our showing.
It's so ridiculous.
I was able to go pee before it started. I was like, "What is this?"
I hate how many trailers they do. It's so many.
And whatever made me fucking cry, and I was like, "Damn it!"
One of the trailers made you cry?
It was a commercial. It was a Chevy commercial because it was about a lady with Alzheimer's. And
the one with the where she brings her on a ride.
Yeah,
and then talks about grandpa.
Don't do that.
Yeah, we had the Wonka trailer.
Yes.
We had Ghostbusters.
No, I didn't get Ghostbusters.
So
I only got, to be honest, I think I only got two. I think it was Wonka and oh man,
Beekeeper.
No,
Argyle.
No. We got that. We got those two.
You guys got a lot of trailers.
We got like 5 fucking trailers.
No, it was more than that.
Was it?
We got the one
in the commercials.
No.
Planet of the Apes.
Yeah,
I didn't get that one either.
Dude, you got.
I got like 2 trailers.
The anime one.
Oh yes, I got the Boy and the Heron. That was that one and Wonka, and that was it.
I couldn't think of.
That's just. I mean, the Boy and the Heron, I understand, but Wonka doesn't really seem to like.
It's a weird
Godzilla.
Yeah, it's a weird thing, but hey,
whatever.
I mean,
we
Beekeeper.
Well, maybe not Beekeeper,
Argyle,
but like Planet of the Apes, baby.
Yeah.
You know.
Oh,
we were a little early for the Godzilla Kong trailer. That literally came out that same fucking day, but it obviously hadn't hit theaters yet.
Right.
That's a good one too.
But
go watch this fucking movie. There you go. There's your review.
Yeah. This is definitely a movie you got to see in theaters. Like it's just the sound design, the visuals, just everything about this movie just screams a theater experience. And the fact that they're showing it as long as they are, take advantage of it. There's got to be a theater around you that is showing this movie right now. It's making good money. It's Godzilla, man. Like just based on that alone, go see this movie.
Does Brandon still have his inflatable projection screen?
Probably. You have to ask him about that.
I'm gonna play it out in front of the house when it comes out on.
There you go.
Oh yeah,
the front lawn.
and this is definitely a movie that 100% once the 4K comes out, I'm buying it.
Oh,
it's not even it's not like I'm buying it. I can't even think of anything else to say other than this movie will be in my collection once it comes out on physical.
Oh, yeah.
So
Amazon was saying that that it's supposed to appear on their streaming service for the people who may not buy it. I'm buying it, so I don't fucking care.
Right. So yeah, so let's I guess go into spoilers.
Some of the meat.
Yeah. So if you haven't seen Godzilla -1, please go see it. And then come back and listen to the rest of this episode because we're going to be spoiling things. We're not going to be really going through the entire story. We're going to be talking about things we liked. Talk about some story points. I don't want to go through every point of this movie because I feel that's kind of a disservice to our listeners. I feel like you guys really need to see this movie. And please listen to the rest of this episode after you're done watching it and see if you agree with us or if you don't. But here we go. We are going into spoilers. So spoiler warning has commenced.
Yep.
Let's do this.
Blare that siren.
So
air raid siren.
Yes.
Let's start off with the opening of this movie. This opening is you have this pilot who you find out is a kamikaze pilot, which pretty much in Japan during the war, once you became a kamikaze pilot, you were pretty much going to die. And if you didn't complete your mission, you pretty much were a disgrace in like a lot of it's during the war. If a kamikaze pilot didn't finish his mission and like abandon his post or just couldn't do it, they'd end up killing him anyways.
Yep.
But because it's the end of the war and he kind of gets away with it, but people still kind of see him as a disgrace.
He fakes a thing with his plane.
He fakes with the plane.
Something's wrong with his plane. Yeah.
The fact that we get characters that constantly interweave with each other throughout the movie is really a great story point in this. Like you have our main character, how do you say his name? Shikishima. He's our main character. And then you meet Tachibana, who is the mechanic.
Yep.
And they're on this island called Odo
Island. Yep, Odo Island. It's relevant.
And so they're there pretty much accepting planes that are, need some repairs to go off and do their final mission or whatever. Because I think these guys don't know 100% that the war is over.
Which happens a lot.
And at night, they get a visitor. And that visitor is a little baby Godzilla.
Baby? He's still fucking huge.
Oh, he's still huge. He's like T-Rex size from Jurassic Park. But he is compared to the size we are normally accustomed to.
Yes.
It's a very, very small Godzilla. And I like how
he's track and field.
Yeah.
Godzilla.
I love the visuals in this where it's very dark, so you don't really get to see him fully. It's kind of just like flashes here and there as like fire, the reflection of fire or the lights that they shine on him. I like
his roar is off.
He does have the little tiny T-Rex arms.
His roar is off.
Yeah, his roar. Yep. And he's very, very small, but he packs a punch and he wrecks shit on this island. What did we think of this opening?
Dear.
What?
Oh, okay. Because I got stuff I could say about it, but I don't want to jump in front of everybody.
No, Dan. In
No,
order
we're
for there to
talking.
not be any breaks, you just need to start talking. Don't
Okay,
wait
so,
for anybody
all right.
else.
All right. So the importance of the beginning is I like this beginning because I love this cold opening, even though the whole movie's a cold opening because you don't get the credit scene to the actual title card at the end of the fucking movie.
Right.
But anyway,
Yeah.
So the whole movie's a cold opening. And I like this a lot because it kind of builds up what's going on with Shikishima. You get a little bit of Tachibana. That's not super important. The important thing is the seeing Godzilla. Like I like the obscurity of him. I like his different. He's very hunched, and the fact that he brings like other deep sea creatures up with him. And the importance of Odo Island is that's actually where the original film starts. After the Yahata Maru, which was the original boat, I'm saying that right, gets attacked by Godzilla in the beginning of the very original film. They wash up on Odo Island, and Odo Island is where the Gojira legend comes from. And that is the relevance of that island. And that's very significant. So the actual first time you fully see Godzilla attacks anybody, not boat, on land, is actually on Odo Island later in the original Godzilla film. So extremely relevant location. But I don't know its placement in the war specifically. Like obviously it was getting close to the Japanese mainland, but at this point it didn't really matter. So
I just enjoy that this one is it wastes no time. Like, he lands, and then all hell breaks loose.
Yeah, you get a little bit of him like, dude, there's nothing wrong with the plane. He's like, I don't want to fucking do it.
Uh,
And like some of the people sympathize with him.
Yeah, you have that one
like,
guy who comes over and says he understands.
I
But yeah, the attack. I love the attack scene. I love how, of course, the events of this will shape the rest of the movie. Will shape Shigashima's kind of output on life, his destiny, right? And then, of course, bringing another character from this event back into the fold, the only other survivor of the event. I mean, this movie's dark. This movie is not like visually dark, but emotionally and thematically dark. Just, he passes out during the attack and he wakes up and you have all the dead bodies and he thinks he's the only one who survived. And so that plays into his outlook on life and kind of his guilt throughout the entire movie because he feels responsible for everything that happened because he couldn't pull the trigger.
Yep.
Even though it probably wouldn't have done anything. Like,
well,
we see it that way.
Yeah, well, he wasn't mutated at this time either. So it's very possible it could have.
It could have. Yeah, right. So, so we move on to kind of the flashes of like where Godzilla kind of becomes Godzilla, like the Godzilla we all know and love. But it's very brief, and I think that was one of my gripes with this movie is I wish we got to see more of how he becomes Godzilla. We kind of get a glimpse of like, okay, they're in the Bikini Atoll, you see the nuclear blast, and then you just kind of, you see that it's a really close-up shot of Godzilla as he's kind of absorbing that nuclear energy.
Well, it actually it does keloid scarring on his body. It actually blasts a lot of the skin off of him, and then it cuts.
Yeah,
to the next scene. So he doesn't actually absorb it. Like he does, but that's not what you see. You actually,
that's what causes him to grow larger in size.
Yeah, ultimately that is the thing.
Yeah.
So it's the Americans' fault. Sorry, guys. GG, we won. Not really.
Yeah. So
he goes back to Japan first before we see that.
Oh yeah, and then he meets one of, I'm guessing, his old neighbor.
Yeah, because his house isn't there no more.
Because his house is gone. His parents are gone. Everybody's gone. I mean, Tokyo is literally been blown to the ground. Like there's just nothing. It's just rubble. And of course, he finds his neighbor who knows who he is and knows what he was supposed to do, and so she does not like him, because he's a disgrace. And literally, it's one of those things. Like it just shows the brainwashing of the axis of power during the war and what they would instill in their citizens. The fact of like this one guy whose job was to pretty much end himself by crashing his plane into whatever the target was, but because he didn't do it, they could have won the war. They could have won that battle or won, whatever, and Japan could have ended up in a different situation. And it just, it's just sitting there and listening to her kind of scold him. You're just like, come on, use logic.
No, but I mean, that's
just how it was. Yeah.
It was the samurai mentality. They beat into everybody's head during the war. So,
yeah, we get to see him kind of rebuilding his life. He finds a woman who has a baby who you find out it's not hers. They kind of move in with him, and then it's kind of just their life. Rebuilding.
To leave.
Yeah, pretty much. And it was like, okay, it's a year later and she's still there. And
okay.
And it's like that person who said, like, yeah, I'm down. You're down on your luck. You can stay with us for a little while, and they just don't leave.
One of those. Go.
Yeah, pretty much. So, yeah, it's just we get to see the life of this guy and him kind of rebuilding his life, and also he's having to do something new by being a father, but not really, because of course at one point he is a complete douche.
Oh God, yeah.
Where the little girl calls him daddy, and he's like, "I'm not your dad." And I was like, "That's a shitty thing to say." And then one of the characters says the same thing. I'm like, "Yeah, I'm with that guy."
Exactly.
Wasn't it the captain?
It was
like,
the
why
captain.
did you say that?
And they all were like, "That's
kid
fucked
is
up."
like, that was rude.
I just like the one guy, the captain, who was just like, you need to be here for her, so you're not dying. You're not. It's these characters are just so well written and so likable. There's not one character in this movie, even the the neighbor. She comes out and she's saying the things to him that we don't agree with, but that, like we said, that's just how it was. But later on, she becomes like family to him and helps take care of the kid, and it's just
almost like a grandmother.
Yeah, and like there's the great thing about it is it feels so real because there's no villain other than like Godzilla is ultimately the villain of this movie. Like he is the sole villain of the movie because I don't think, other than you could say like, oh yeah, the United States is because they're the ones who helped create Godzilla, or the whatever. But like watching this movie, Godzilla is the villain. He's coming through, causing destruction, doing what Godzilla does. But there's no like human villain. There's not that like that annoying. Like I feel like most movies do this where they have to have that one just douchebag character who just sucks. There's not that character in this movie, and I love it.
Pitches a fit like a toddler.
Yeah, you have like you have the kid. Like, of course, the only reason he throws fits is because he's being treated as a kid. Yeah, and he just wants to be involved more. But you can't blame him for the way he's acting.
Yeah. Well, even like you said, even when Godzilla is like attacking, it doesn't even feel like a lot of movies where just like Godzilla just shows up, like, oh, Godzilla happens to be here. It literally feels like an event when he's there, like he like a natural disaster. Or later in the movie, he's like, okay, Godzilla's predicted to appear at this point or be at this point in time or whatever. It almost feels like it's literally like an enemy, like the whole overarching theme of this movie is obviously the war. Like that is the biggest thing that lingers over this entire fucking movie, and Shikasima's shit that he brings back from it. Not making fun of him. Like anybody that was in that conflict brought a lot of shit back from it. They just called it shell shock and tried to ignore it the best they could. Right. Because they didn't really know or didn't want to know.
PTSD, and they didn't know what that was.
Yeah, they just called it shell shock. Right. That's what they called it. So and Godzilla, like it almost feels like okay, he's gonna show up. It's like it felt like an enemy force. Like this is when the enemy's gonna attack at this point in time. It felt very militaristic, even though this movie's like super anti-military. Right. And it's cool. I think it's balanced well how they all handle. And of course, like Shikishima's like literal issues he's dealt with the war, like where he has these dreams and wakes up and thinks he's dead or in a dream or should be dead or this is his punishment. He's already in hell or something. Like, because the dude just gets shit on the whole fucking movie. Yep. Like, the whole fucking movie, dude. Which is fair. I mean, it builds for a good character based on the rest of the film. The movie is a fucking downer most of the times.
Oh, absolutely. So. I mean, Japan in the 40s, especially post-war, it's not good. It wasn't, that country was almost leveled to the ground completely. And it's the fact that like they talk about is it Ginza, mm-hmm. which is like the city that is rebuilt the fastest. Like so that's where everybody's going to work, and you're still looking at like Tokyo. Like Tokyo, imagine Tokyo now in 2023. What Tokyo looks like now. It is this bustling metropolis, like lights, and it's huge. In this movie, it is nothing. It is just rubble. Like the entire city. It's insane in the short amount of time what that city turned into after the war. Yeah.
And even by the time Godzilla shows up, it's 2 years post-war. They've got some stuff rebuilt, but people always think of like the war. World War II, they always think of the nuclear bombing, which is not mentioned almost at all in this movie. Nope. Like the actual bombing of Nagasaki and Hiroshima, not really mentioned at all. No. Nope. So this country was bombed and firebombed a shit ton. Like there's probably, comparable damage, if not more, done by that than it was the nukes themselves. So
it's always the question of just like, does Godzilla have like a predetermined destination, or does he just kind of go until he finds a place and it's like, I guess I'm just gonna destroy this place?
Well, that's what they talk about, like it being a territory thing.
Yeah, like because he's an animal, pretty much.
Especially with him being larger, he's got a bigger territory. Right. And especially with him being mutated, you don't really... That's the thing with Godzilla. You don't really see what he eats.
No.
Like
No,
outside, like
it's not
in
like the
this
legendary
movie.
films where you see him, devouring missiles and stuff, and
Yeah.
getting into radiation.
You see it every once in a while in some of the old Japanese ones, like where he'll actually like try to hunt things to absorb radiation. But this is a movie that doesn't really do that. I think it's literally just it's like this is my shit. Like it's like on the Odo Island. It's like all right, well
Right.
I can go here, I can go other places now, so and not be bothered.
Well, it's like when Noda takes those, I don't know what they're called, the triangular pieces on the map,
Yeah,
and he maps out
a trajectory for him.
where he's going to be. I'm like, well, how did you figure that out? But then it's like, well, he figured it out somehow because
Well, they were
it
using
happened.
weren't they using the before they put the ones in front of Tokyo Bay? They had other Geiger counter things that were following him too, like the buoys.
The buoys.
Yeah, Baba Booey. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Because he talks about not being able to do it just visually. They had to do it another way.
Yeah, to confirm him other than just visually, yeah. Especially when he's underwater. Fuck, you don't know. That dude dives deep, bro. Like,
This boy is thick, dude.
He's a thick boy, G.
Dude, he is fucking Heisei Godzilla, dude. He's got the thighs, he's got that belly and shit.
You see him the first time, and
hungry,
I was like,
man.
I leaned over, I was like, damn, boy, he thick.
He's a 90s God, dude. He is like 100% 90s Godzilla, dude. It's fucking wonderful, dude. I love it.
I was like, his poor arms.
So, I mean, I guess that answers my question. What did we think of the Godzilla design in this movie?
I still loved it, though.
Dude, it's great. It's super traditional, but it's different.
Mm-hmm.
And there's
thick boy, though.
He moves quick when he wants to or he needs to, but most of the time he doesn't have to be bothered with it. No. He's like, fuck it, I'm just gonna walk. What are you gonna do about it? And then he gets shot with shit, and he's like, all right, hang on, let's figure this out. Which is cool. Like, I like that he reacts more to things, especially the big ass fucking cannons on battleships and shit. But that's fair. Go ahead.
No, I just I love the fact of like them figuring out that he can be damaged like from the inside because he swallows the mine and gets a shot, and then it like blows half his face off, and then it just slowly grows back, and you're like, what? Yeah, this Godzilla feels familiar, but also feels new at the same time. Like they didn't like fully change him. He is Godzilla. He still has that similar design. I love when, there's the, scenes that look very much like a Godzilla film that you saw in the 50s and 60s, where it's him walking straight up with his arms to his side and him just kind of lumbering through wherever he's destroying. And then there's the scene where he literally like spreads his legs out, he fucking pumps his arms and does his roar, and it's just like you feel like it's two completely different Godzillas. You're like, no, what the fuck? And he's just terrifying. He's absolutely terrifying.
Oh, he does. I think like not durability wise, but like I think he's one of the strongest Godzillas we've had, like just power wise.
Oh yeah,
and like the regeneration is like stupid fast in him. I think this is the fastest one's ever regenerated.
I said, what? He has nanobots?
Yeah, the nano machines, Colonel.
Oh man,
like when that happened, and he has the scarring there for the rest of the fucking movie.
Yeah, it's cool.
And I like how it's by coincidence. Like like they were trying whatever they can to get away. It's not like, I don't know. It feels less like plot convenience, plot driven. They're literally just trying to get out of a situation. Like, we got these mines, that's all we have. We have to do something. Yeah. Like, stick it in his mouth. That's what I would have thought to do. Put it in his mouth. Like, he's got to be soft in there somewhere.
Yeah.
But like you said, he's cool because he's familiar. He's different, and he does fucking cool shit, dude. When he like belly flops onto the fucking battle cruiser.
Yeah.
Then he's like, fuck this bitch. And it's like, whoa. It takes cannons to the side. Oh,
and he's just like, okay, back to the water.
That's what I get for eating before swimming. Cramps.
Yeah. But I also love that because he is CG, they can make him have facial expressions.
Mm-hmm.
And like, you see him sometimes he gets curious, but then there's sometimes he gets pissed.
All right.
Yeah.
Listen, I feel we're dancing around the issue. Let's just talk about the fucking atomic breath because it's fucking sweet, and we need to talk about this shit. Like, it's not even fucking atomic breath; it's a fucking cannon.
In the trailer,
Yeah.
you don't see the aftermath of the atomic breath, but you see one of my favorite new features of Godzilla, and that is the fact that his dorsal spikes or whatever the hell you call them fucking shoot out of him as he charges up. Like anytime, it's like a fucking level. Like the blue just starts to go, and every time it hits a certain one, it just pops up out of him. Like, and then it gets all the way to his neck, and that's when but he still has to like breathe in to then blow out, and then it's a nuke. It's a fucking nuke. Like, this is an OP Godzilla. The only thing that sucks is it takes a long time for him to charge it up. It's not like the legendary Godzilla who could just pretty much be like whip, 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 and then fucking blast somebody with his laser beam. This is
like crank faster.
Like, and of course how slow it is ultimately how he is defeated in the end of the movie. But yeah,
eat this sandwich.
This scene in the city with his first appearance, and after he fucks everything up and he shoots it off, and it's that nuclear, you get the mushroom cloud, and then all the buildings just getting wiped out, except everybody for the building that our main characters behind. That building's fine.
Listen.
Well, there's actually several buildings back there, but
to be honest,
he has plot armor.
Another scene where I was like, why did she do that? Why could they both just dive into the alleyway? I don't know.
Listen, I'm going to point something out about this scene. First off, this is one of my two favorite scenes in this movie, is when Godzilla does his atomic breath, and it literally cuts to him. I'm glad I didn't watch any trailers for this movie, mind you, so nothing was fucking spoiled for me. So when he does the shot, and then it's literally him with the mushroom cloud in the background,
and he's looking up at it.
Yeah, he roars into it, and then the rain falls. Mind you, everybody that survived this whole thing, I'm sorry, Shikishima, I love you, buddy. You are going to die of radiation poisoning. Sorry, bro. It's just how it's going to work. And the second one is Godzilla's atomic breath is so fucking powerful in this movie that it burns his fucking face.
Yeah.
That's my second favorite shot of this movie, where he does it and like part of his face is melted the fuck off and healing up. Not melted, but burning and healing up.
That's when they call out that it was his heat ray.
Yeah. Dude, it's God.
And it
when Godzilla first appeared, okay, we talked about teary-eye moments, right? Mine's for entirely two, but this first is a entirely different moment. When Godzilla shows up in Tokyo, when you first see him as the proper Godzilla, and it does the music, the Akira Ifukube classic theme of Godzilla, which is actually they use three probably different themes. This one is from early 60s. It's mid 60s. Godzilla, King Ghidorah.
Oh, is that the
Godzilla, yeah. That one, well, they have different renditions of that song. They have the same opening, and then they'll do like a
they do the slow section. They do like a slower version.
Well, there's the opening, and then there's that middle section, which is actually, that's how you can generally tell what movie it's from. And this one is from Ghidorah the Three-Headed Monster, or Invasion of the Astro Monster, and it's played again at the end with the boats in the ocean when they're doing the final thing. That's actually from the original King Kong versus Godzilla, because it's got like the tribal drums and shit to it. So anyhow, nerd shit. But like when he came in, was like lumbering through the building, and Noriko's like looking at him, and he's like, "Is this Godzilla?" And the fucking theme hits, dude. I'm just like, "Oh god!" Like my eyes started watering. I was so fucking excited because it felt like Godzilla.
He's over there going,
no, I didn't do that. He felt like Godzilla. He fucking looked like Godzilla. You had the Akira Ifukube theme. Like everything was fucking perfect in that shot. And he's just lumbering around doing this thing, stepping on motherfuckers, and they're running away.
This is the time where I should have been holding your hand, because when we watched
2014.
Yes.
I got excited for the atomic breath.
Like he was shaking. He was shaking.
Oh god, I was in this movie too. I get
great.
Fucking dude. Anyway.
I just like watching him react.
So excited, dude.
This.
Like I say, like I've never not known my life without Godzilla. Like I've always watched it. Always. So it was fucking great. And like I get excited for, like, I love the legend stuff, but this is the shit I care about, because this feels like Godzilla, proper Godzilla. Anyway, keep going. I went on a tangent.
This is a Godzilla that takes itself seriously.
Yeah, and that's fine. He doesn't always have to. I'll gladly let him fight giant fucking Jack Nicholson looking robots and
I mean, he can
and
certainly
do
dance.
flying tail kicks and
No.
dancing the
Yeah,
fucking
we need the
dance
dance.
on Planet X. Please, I don't give a fuck. Please, I want it. I
Yes,
want
I
all of
need
it. I want him to. I do. I want him to fight Ghidorah and then bring in Captain Planet, and he can be fucking Don Cheadle, and it'll be great.
And he needs to fly with the hug.
He's gonna hug him too. Yeah.
Touchdown.
That's another thing I love about this movie is the fact that I think people have talked about the fact it's like Godzilla needs to fight another monster. No, he doesn't,
Nope.
because the original he doesn't, and this one he doesn't, and this one plays out so well because this is more focused on the humans trying to survive, getting out of being on the wrong side of a world war, and then they have to deal with this fucking monster who is just coming in after they're just like, all right, guys, we're making great progress rebuilding our country, and it's just like, wait a minute, guys, and fucking nukes them again. Like, these guys got nuked 3 times, so
yep. With Godzilla just fucking rolling up.
And
excuse me, guys.
Like, hey,
and that's ultimately why
call.
he feels like a true villain of this movie. Like, he always has that evil grin on his face when he's doing crazy shit, like when he's chasing people through the water and fucking with the boats, and it's just so well done. Like the shot of Shikishima when he's in the plane and he's flying by Godzilla, and Godzilla is like a fucking cat trying to get its toy. Like, he's like, fuck out of here, man. It's like somebody who's swatting at a fly that just won't leave you alone. Get away from me, man.
This is why I said he's a track and field. He's got the jumps. He's got he launches people with his mouth.
It's all that thigh muscle, bro.
Oh, it's just fantastically done.
I said either that or baseball, where he throws the ships.
Yeah.
Oh, that boat just woo.
Which sucks said that was a shot in the trailer, unfortunately.
Oh, I know. That's
for
why
people who watch trailers like myself. It's still, to be honest, there were a couple people in the theaters who went, "Oh shit!" as that boat just flies through, and you're like,
It's like,
there's
I hope they
probably 3 or 4 times in the movie.
Yeah,
it was like audible from us, like, "Oh shit!" Like
Jesus.
Yeah, I know, right? Usually the atomic breath stuff, but yeah.
The atomic breath was definitely the biggest, like mouth gaped open, like, because I wasn't expecting that to be the outcome.
Yeah, no,
at all.
I was expecting like a traditional, like his regular atomic, because like it doesn't always need to be one-upsmanship.
It's like a beam or something.
Neat. Yeah, but no, he's just like,
he drops a nuke out of his mouth.
Yeah, literally. But
he
it
stole that
didn't
shit from
start
Gamera.
out as the full blue. Like it was like a flame where it started out one color and slowly built up to that.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah.
Like I said, I'm just going to give Gamera credit. He's the one that shoots the little fireball things that explode. Listen, Gamera did it first. It just wasn't nukes. So since Gamera stole from Godzilla, Godzilla's got to do it eventually. All right.
Got little hand grenades.
What? Well, no, he steals ninja stars from other kaiju.
I mean, the final. This is the end of this movie is amazing. It's just
I love the idea.
So well done. Yeah, the whole planning stage of what they're gonna do and everything, and like the fact that like the plan kind of just goes to shit immediately because Godzilla is able to just get through it. That's the scene where he throws the ship.
Yep.
And it was like, oh well, what do we do? Well, we got to go to Plan B. And it's like, well, we got to still be able to do things. And that's when the fucking when the other theme pops on. It's like dun 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 dun, and that's when the hairs on the back of my neck stand up, and I'm just like, that theme.
He's gonna do the thing.
It's one of my favorite themes in cinematic history. Like, and it's just so fucking good. It just gets you so pumped up. And
yeah, because Noda plays it off like he had this planned all along.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure
he did not have this planned all along.
Pretty sure he says when him and the captain are talking, he doesn't have a plan B.
Like
he's like, I guess we'll just
there's like gaps in the plan that just kind of like we'll figure it out as it goes.
Yeah. It just ends so well.
Dude, like speaking of which, listen, I'm not going to say how it all breaks down because the idea of how it work is, I feel, is feasible with the technology they have at the time, which I'm glad they did something different instead of the oxygen destroyer. Yeah. Sorry, guys. Mm-hmm. This is a spoiler section, but there's no oxygen destroyer. I like how they did it. And when Godzilla reemerges from the ocean before he eats the sandwich, he, sorry,
eat a sandwich.
Just catch. Or somebody needs to like Photoshop a Snickers. Just anyway,
Godzilla,
not making
you're
fun.
not yourself.
You're
when
not
you're hungry.
yourself. Exactly. When he comes up and he's like fucked to the moon, and he's like about to do his atomic breath. Did you look at his fucking face? Like
Yeah.
Godzilla's face, his eyes like bugged the fuck out. Like I'm
Yeah.
gonna get you sons of bitches for this.
Yeah,
like
and
he's like
that's
a little loose as shit. It's
and what a great it was funny though. It's like, how long does it really take him to charge up that thing? Because you get this whole shot where it shows that Godzilla's charging up, and it gets all the way up to him, it gets up to his mouth, where it's like it should almost be happening, and everything is quiet. There's no sound.
nothing. It's fucking great.
And then the
dude.
plane, and then of course the plane flies by, but it takes a really long time. It feels like for him to fly into Godzilla's mouth, and I'm like, I feel like he would have already shot off, but you know what? I don't care. This is fucking awesome.
I'm just gonna chalk. It is, but I'm gonna just chalk it up to him being gravely wounded.
Yes, that's
That's-
we'll
it
say
almost
that.
looks like
Yeah.
he's like freezing, not
Well, because
but not.
because they send him down and he like gets. You could see like they show him at the bottom where he's like his body kind of like starts to react, like it's starting to go in
just
directions
shuts
it's not supposed to
down,
go. Like
nothing.
he's actually being crushed. Like the plan is somewhat working, but he is so powerful that it just doesn't do the full effect. And then when he comes up, you can see how it's like like his fucking skin starts to bubble as he's
Yep,
being brought back up to the surface and.
Yep.
I'm like,
Oh,
Jesus, it's so
oh,
fucking
damn it.
good,
I need
man.
to see it again.
It's just
I
so
know,
good.
I want to see it again.
It's
I wanted to say. Oh no, go ahead. I got a couple of things I'll add at the end. It's not important right now.
no, I just yeah, this ending is one of my favorite endings of a movie that I've seen in a very, very long time. Other than the very, very ending, which kind of made me scratch my head, but I think Dan, you might be able to explain why
That is
someone
that's oh, go ahead.
survived.
Because it's Godzilla and he has to.
Yeah.
It's a GMK reference.
No, I'm not talking about the big G. I'm talking about the woman.
Oh, that okay.
Oh.
So that is okay.
We discussed this.
We talked
too.
about this. So Noriko, okay, which was kind of the tearjerker moment at the end too, like because you know it's all that stuff. And
But I called it.
She did. She did. But
I was
but
like, what?
But admittedly, there was of all the people that were standing there when that whole thing went down, there was nobody else. You could see nobody else.
No.
There were
they
no
were
bodies of
gone.
anybody else. There, everybody was gone. So obviously, she didn't get painted into the wall. She just got shot backwards. But that is extremely feasible in that day and time. They even mention when he goes looking for Tachibana, we're having trouble locating people. She lived through whatever circumstances, and it doesn't surprise me. It would take forever for them to find where she lives. It's a crumbled society still, even though it's been a couple of years. It's going to take forever to find. He wouldn't know.
Right.
Like if he couldn't find the body or didn't know, like how would he know? I would have put her chalked her up for dead.
Who's gonna know?
I guess that's the thing. Somebody said you could see something on her neck.
Yes, and I think that's
Yeah,
kind of a
she's got
symbol
something.
to why she survived. I don't know, some sort of like black mark on her neck.
I think she just got radiation poisoning, dude.
But also, Godzilla living, you can't kill him.
No,
my idea would be, because I feel like they need to do a sequel to this.
I'm sure they will.
You do, but you don't do. You do it like 50 years later. You do like Godzilla. It takes him a very long time to regenerate to his former self, because of course he's like blown to bits, pretty much. Well, he's not really blown to bits. He's the top of his head is blown off, and then he like crumbles into like fucking rocks, and then sinks to the bottom of the ocean.
It's his heart.
Yeah. He's gonna build from the heart.
It's the reference. It's a GMK reference because that's exactly what happens to GMK. He blows the fuck up and his heart's left.
Yeah.
So he can just he can regenerate eternally, like
so
fucking cell. Dude.
I say that it takes him so long that like
it looked like it was taking very long at that point.
He reemerges and it's like 30, 40, 50 years later. Like I don't want it to be like, oh, a couple of years later after. No, I want it to be like they think it's done, and then like let's say fucking it's a Kiko when she's older, and she's like, oh shit, you know, my dad and my mom and dad went through this, and
dude, just have it take place in the 70s.
Yeah, you do that.
She'd be old enough for that.
I mean, because in reality, it doesn't matter how fast Godzilla regenerates. He's lost muscle mass, so he has to that all has to regenerate. So he's not going to be like strong like he was first off.
Yeah, it's gonna take him a while. Like even
So-
even if he regenerates fully, like you said, he's gonna need a bit to get back to
He's
full
gotta-
power.
He's got to fight undersea monsters.
No, he's just gonna sleep. He's just gonna sleep underwater in a fucking subterranean or an underwater city until Sarazawa gives him a nuke for Christmas and blows it up in his face. Like, there you go, buddy. You'll love this.
Oh God.
What's something else I wanted to mention was the when they find the U.S. boat that's destroyed, they send them out first.
Yeah.
The island chain or the group of islands it takes off, that is an Ogasawara Island, which the reference to that is in Godzilla. Not Godzilla. Destroy All Monsters, which was supposed to be the final Godzilla movie in 1968. Actually, is a fictitious island that's a part of the Ogasawara Island. So that is the reference there. There's a couple of those, like the ending was a reference to GMK. There's some other stuff sprinkled in there, but it's not really heavy. It's kind of like subtle things. It's not like heavy handed. Like, guys, you remember this shit? Like, no, it's not a bunch of stuff like that. I want Anguirus to come back.
Poor Anguirus.
I think if they do another one, I want an Anguirus.
But
like,
he gets
I know he's going to choke on that cheeseburger, and that's fine. Godzilla's going to do the thing. He'll make him eat the sandwich. Like, you eat it, fucker! Like, sticks a plane down his throat.
Isn't Garrus like the spiky shelled one?
Yeah, he gets his mouth ripped apart.
Yep, he's Godzilla. He's Godzilla's
Yeah,
first
sad.
like rival. Like, he's the first guy.
He's like a
Godzilla-
little puppy dog,
I know.
though.
And we don't always have to. We don't, if there's not another kaiju, it's fine. If you just want to like have Godzilla come back every 20 years and like science, like we could stop him with this, and obviously it's not going to work.
Right.
But by all means, do that shit.
Yeah.
But I'm fine. I'm fine with that. Make more.
I agree. This is a fantastic movie that needs to be seen. So, do we have any final thoughts on this before we get out of here?
No, go see it. Just please go see it.
I can't. Okay.
The relationship between Shikishima and his boatmates,
It's good.
It sells.
Yes.
They feel like genuine people, like just fucking around and stuff. And they go out drinking together and shit. And of course, Shikishima's real touchy about the military. When people bring it up and don't think about it, like the
Yeah.
younger guy.
Mm.
It's like,
He
don't fuck
wasn't-
around with that, dude.
He wasn't in the military, and
No,
he
he-
wanted to be. And I'm
He
like,
doesn't understand,
I
man.
don't think you want to be.
No, that's what the point was. Like, you don't want any part of that shit. I like I said, I don't know. I'm trying not to beat a dead horse or anything right now. I really liked, like I said, the anti-war thing, which kind of leads into a theory I have of one thing I would love to have had in the movie was I really would have liked to have had. I think all of Godzilla movies need some Akira Ifukube music at some point. It's his music. It has to be there. And I really wish the military march was in this movie, which is my favorite Ifukube song. But I understand why, because it's kind of an anti-military film, or it is an anti-military film. And
They could have played it during the military part.
I know, I love
the
that
tanks
song
and
so
stuff.
fucking much. And I would have loved to hear it. I love that song so fucking much.
And I
But-
love Tachibana at the end.
Tachibana's
Just-
dope, dude.
It's so cool.
Great, I know.
Great ending. Great
just
ending
watch
with
the
all these
fuck-
characters.
Just watch it.
We go on about this shit forever. Go fucking watch it. That's
Yeah.
it. Go watch it.
Yeah, this is definitely gets my seal of approval. It's
Oh, yeah.
probably one of my favorite movies of the year.
I have
It's
more thumbs than
just
two.
it's just great from beginning to end. It just really got me from as soon as it started, and then once the whole final scene happens, I had goosebumps. That music, the mix of music, the appearance of Godzilla, and everything that was going on screen, I was just like, I need more of this.
And then the scene of not music, not
Oh,
sound at
my
all,
God,
and
it's
it
so
just
good.
goes. You're like, oh fuck, what's gonna
Yeah.
happen here?
Those are always so suspenseful, though. Like, it just.
I want this movie to get. It's not gonna get it, but I want this movie to be considered for an Oscar for something.
What-
I want it to be
oh.
nominated for an Oscar for something.
But what did you said that
It's-
they were.
It's put up for consideration for best
Consideration.
actor. But I don't think it's gonna go because this isn't.
You say
'Cause
best
It's
not
not Hollywood sucking their own
Do you say
dick about
best
every.
But it's not an
actor?
American.
Yeah,
for
movie.
who?
I'm assuming it's the guy who played Shikishima. I'm assuming.
Oh, okay. This should be up for best. Well, I mean, if you don't put it in like any of the normal categories, put it up. At
Yeah.
least put it up for like best fucking foreign film.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, I forgot to mention the sorry, the girl that plays Noriko. She was actually just recently in Shin Kamen Rider.
Very cool.
And she was good in that. I just want to throw that there. But yes, I think it should be, because this is like, I don't know, this is just well beyond the expectations I had for this movie. Like, I knew it was going to be good, but I didn't think it was going to be that fucking good. Like, this is the quality you just don't get from Godzilla movies normally. And I'm not shitting on them. I love these movies to death, but it's like if they just made a Friday the 13th, like, because that's the best one I compared to. Something's like made a fucking Friday the 13th movie, and it just got glowing praise from everybody out of nowhere because it's just that good of a fucking movie. That's the, like, you just don't see it coming normally.
I totally agree.
At least you don't have to wait long. You get Godzilla and Godzilla Kong in April. So.
I know.
Different Godzilla.
I'm very excited. It was just, we're eating well here in Godzilla land.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. Give us more. Don't shit it on if you don't like. I mean, if you don't like it, don't fucking prattle on about it. You can say you don't like it, but just be happy there's more content. We could be not having content.
Right.
That happens quite a bit with this franchise, going decades or more with nothing. So.
Exactly. So when you guys hear this, it still should be in theaters for at least a few more days. So go out if you can if a theater near you is playing this, please go check it out. It is well worth the admission price because, like I said, I don't go to the theaters as much as I used to, but I definitely had to go for this, and it was well worth it. So check it out.
Even if you're not a fan of Godzilla, it's just a good.
It's a good movie.
Yeah. Period.
It's just a good movie.
Subtitled, so you will have to read.
But it's easy to follow.
It's so much easier to follow than like Shin Godzilla.
Yeah.
They just
I had trouble. I had trouble with that one.
Yeah, a lot of talking in Shin Godzilla. A lot of talking.
Arguing.
That is our fresh cuts on Godzilla -1. Thank you all for listening, and hopefully you enjoy this episode, another episode of Fresh Cuts. You can follow us at Dissect That Film on all the social medias. We are on Instagram, TikTok, Twitter /X, Facebook, Slasher, all the socials. Just type in Dissect That Film. Make sure to rate and review the show wherever you listen to us, on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Good Pods, anywhere that you can leave us a rating. Please do, because the more that we get, the more new people we could get in to listen to the show. So that'd be really cool. So thank you very much for that. We have a Patreon, patreon.com/Dissect That Film, where we have 3 tiers, so you can help support the show. And some of the higher tiers have some bonus perks, such as bonus shows and then future commentary tracks and watch-alongs with us in 2024. So go to patreon.com/Dissect That Film and become a patron. We would greatly appreciate it. And we thank all of our current patrons, because you are all amazing, and we thank you for all your support. But as we said, if you don't want to do that, just leave us a rating and a review. That's all we ask. They're free. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe on the YouTube channel, because that also helps us too. So we appreciate you very much. You can find all of Dan, Angela, and my links down in the description. Is that it?
True.
Is that it?
I think so. I think we're done.
All right.
Nothing.
All right, everybody. Until next time, I'm Britt Parker. That is Dan and Angela of DNA Gaming. And this has been another episode of Fresh Cuts. We'll see you all again next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.